Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. And today we are starting on chapter 45, which is Sri Ramakrishna at Shambhapur, which was the sort of intermediary place between Dakshineshwar and Kasipur, where he breathed his last. Shambhapur, he went to Shambhapur to be more available to physicians and to devotees when he began getting quite ill. And he didn't stay there very long because it didn't end up being like suitable for what their needs were. But we have him a short time in here. So we're at October 18th, 1885. The doctors had definitely diagnosed Sri Ramakrishna's illness as cancer. No proper arrangement for his treatment and nursing could be made at Dakshineshwar. He needed the constant attention of a physician, which could not be given at the temple garden. Furthermore, the devotees who lived in Calcutta found it very inconvenient to attend on him daily at Dakshineshwar. It's really hard to get back and forth now. Imagine what it was 150 years ago, right? Therefore, the older devotees had rented a small 2-story house in Bhag Bazar, Calcutta, and had brought the master there. Sri Ramakrishna, however, had not liked the place and had gone to Balaram's house. Well, that worked. In a few days, a new house had been engaged in Shambhapur, in the northern section of Calcutta, and the master had been taken there. He'd been placed under the treatment of Dr. Mahendralal Sarkar. Excuse me. The new building had 2 large rooms and 2 smaller ones on the second floor. One of the larger rooms was used as the parlor, and in the other the master lived. Of the 2 smaller rooms, one was used as a sleeping room by the devotees, and the other by the Holy Mother when she came there. I think she was there, but people didn't realize it. Near the exit to the roof was a small covered square space where the Holy Mother stayed during the day. That's where she was. That's where she was in the small covered, square space where the Holy Mother stayed during the day and prepared the master's food. It was Vijaya Day, the 4th day of the worship of Durga, when the image is immersed in water. On that day, the Divine Mother returns to her heavenly abode at Mount Kailash, leaving gloom in the hearts of her devotees. It was about 8 o'clock in the morning, and the air was chilly. Though ill, Sri Ramakrishna was sitting on his bed. He was like a 5-year-old child who knows nothing but its mother. Navagopal, M., and a few other devotees were present. Surendra arrived and sat down. The Divine Mother had been worshipped at his house for the past 3 days. Sri Ramakrishna had not been able to go there on account of his illness, but he had sent some of his disciples. Surendra was in a very unhappy mood because on this day, the image of the mother was to be immersed in the water. Surendra: I had to run away from home. Master to M: What if the image is thrown in the water? May mother dwell in the heart. Surendra was disconsolate. He was crying to the Divine Mother and talking to her. At this yearning of his beloved disciple, Sri Ramakrishna could not control his tears. He looked at M and said in a choked voice, what bhakti, what great love he feels for God. Master to Surendra: Yesterday evening at 7 or 7:03, I saw your worship hall in a vision. I saw the divine image full of effulgence. This place meaning this place, and your hall were joined by a stream of light flowing between them. Surendra: At that time I was crying to the mother in the worship hall. My elder brothers had gone upstairs. I thought the mother said, I will come again. It was about 8 o'clock in the morning. It was about 11 o'clock in the morning. Sri Ramakrishna finished his meal and poured water into his hand for him to rinse his mouth. Master to M: Rakhal has indigestion. It is best to take only sattvic food. Haven't you read about it in the Gita? Don't you read the Gita? M: Yes, sir. The Gita speaks of temperance in eating. Sattvic food, rajasic food, tamasic food, sattvic kindness, sattvic ego, and so on. All these are described in the Gita. Master: Have you a copy of the book? M: Yes, sir. Master: It contains the essence of all the scriptures. M: The Gita describes various ways of realizing God. You too say that God can be reached by various paths: knowledge, devotion, work, and meditation. Master, do you know the meaning of karma yoga? It is to surrender to God the fruit of all action. Yes, sir. I've read that in the Gita. It also says that there are 3 ways of performing action. Master, what are they? First, one may perform a karma, that is action, to attain jnana, or knowledge. Second, to teach others. Third, under the impulse of one's nature. In other words, he's saying we can perform our work, first of all, to attain knowledge, or second, do something to teach other people how to do it, or third, because we ourselves have the impulse to work. After rinsing his mouth, the master chewed betel leaf. Ramakrishna was talking with M about Dr. Sarkar. M had been at the doctor's house the previous day to report the master's condition. Master, what did you talk about? M. There are many books in the doctor's room. I took one out to read, and now and then read a passage aloud to Dr. Sarkar. It was a book by Sir Humphrey Davy. He wrote about the necessity of divine incarnation. Master, indeed. What did you say to the doctor? M. There was one passage that stated that divine truth must be made human truth to be appreciated by us. Therefore, divine incarnation is necessary. Master, splendid. That's very good. M. The author gave the illustration of the sun. One cannot look at the sun, but one can look at its reflected rays. Master, very fine. Anything else? M. Another passage stated that real knowledge is faith. Master, that too is very good. If one has faith, one has everything. M. The author dreamt of the Roman gods and goddesses. Master, do such books really exist? Surely the author was inspired by God. Did you talk of anything else? M. People like Dr. Sarkar speak of doing good to the world, so I told him what you had said about it. Master, smiling, what did I say? M. About Shambhu Malik. He had said to you, it is my desire to devote my money to the building of schools, hospitals, and dispensaries and the like. That will do good to many. Thereupon you had said to him, suppose God appears before you. Will you then ask him to build schools, hospitals, and dispensaries? I told the doctor another thing. Master, those who are born to do work belong to a different class. What else did you say? M. I said to the doctor, if your aim is to visit the image of Mother Kali, what will you gain by spending all your time in giving alms to the poor by the roadside? First, you had better somehow visit the image. Afterwards, you may give alms to your heart's content. Master, did you talk about anything else? M. Yes. I told him that many of those who come to you have conquered lust. Therefore, the doctor said, I too have conquered lust. I said, you are a great man. It is no wonder that you have conquered lust. But the amazing thing is that under his influence, even insignificant creatures have conquered it. Afterwards, I told him what you had said to Girish. Master, smiling, what did I say? M. You said to Girish, the doctor has not been able to surpass you. You said that with his reference to calling you a divine incarnation. Master, discuss the doctrine of divine incarnation with Dr. Sarkar. He who liberates others is an incarnation of God. The scriptures speak of 10, of 24, and also innumerable incarnations. M. Dr. Sarkar is keenly interested in Girish Ghosh. He always asks me whether Girish Ghosh has given up drinking. He keeps a sharp eye on him. Master, did you tell Girish about that? M. Yes, sir, I did. I also told him about giving up drinking. Master, what did he say? M. He said, since you all say so, I take your words as the words of the master himself, but I won't promise anything. Master, joyously, Kalipada told me that he'd altogether given up drinking. It was afternoon. Dr. Sarkar arrived, accompanied by his son Amrita and Haim. Narendra and other devotees were present. Ramakrishna was talking aside to Amrita. He asked him, do you meditate? He further said to him, Do you know what one feels in meditation? The mind becomes like a continuous flow of oil. It thinks of one object only, and that is God. It does not think of anything else. Sri Ramakrishna was talking to the devotees. Master, to the doctor, your son does not believe in the incarnation of God. That's all right. It doesn't matter if he does not believe in it. Your son is a nice boy. Why shouldn't he be? Does a mango tree of a fine Bombay variety ever bear sour mangoes? How firm his faith in God is. That man is a true man whose mind dwells on God. He alone is a man whose spiritual consciousness has been awakened and who is firmly convinced that God alone is real and all else is illusory. He does not believe in divine incarnation. But what does that matter? It is enough if he believes that God exists and that all this universe and its living beings are the manifestations of his power, like a rich man in his garden. Some say that there are 10 incarnations, some 24, while others say there are innumerable incarnations. If you see anywhere a special manifestation of God's power, you may know that God has incarnated himself there. That is my opinion. There is another view, according to which God has become all that you see. It is like the bell fruit, which consists of 3 parts: seeds, shell, and flesh. That which is the absolute has also its relative aspect, and that which is the relative has also its absolute aspect. You cannot set aside the absolute and understand just the relative. And it is only because there is a relative that you can transcend it step by step and reach the absolute. So long as I consciousness exists, a man cannot go beyond the relative. Through meditation, he can negate the phenomena, following the process of neti, and reach the absolute. But nothing can really be denied, as in the instance of the bell fruit. Doctor, quite true. Master, Kacha had been immersed in nirvikalpa samadhi. When his mind was coming down to the relative plane, someone asked him, "What do you see now?" Kacha replied, "I see that the universe is soaked, as it were, in God. Everything is filled with God. It is God alone who has become all that I see. I do not know what to accept and what to reject." In my opinion, one should realize both the Nitya and the Leela, and then live in the world as the servant of God. Hanuman saw both the personal God and the formless reality. He then lived as a devotee of God, as his servant, and to himself. So we must accept both, the absolute and the relative. Since the introduction of Vedanta philosophy in Germany, some of the European philosophers too have been thinking along that line. But the Master says that one cannot realize both the Nitya and the Leela without complete renunciation. That is to say, without totally giving up lust and greed. So a person must be a true renouncer. He must be totally detached from the world. Here lies the real difference between him and European philosophers such as Hegel. In Dr. Sarkar's opinion, God created man and ordained that every soul should make infinite progress. He would not believe that one man was greater than another. That's why he did not believe in the doctrine of divine incarnation. Doctor, I believe in infinite progress. If that is not so, then what is the use of leading a mere 5 or 6 years existence in the world? I would rather hang myself with a rope around my neck. Okay, hold on. Incarnation. What is that? To cower before a man who excretes filth. It is absurd. But if you speak of a man as the reflection of God's life, yes, that I admit. Girish smiling. But you have not seen God's light. Dr. Sarkar was hesitating before giving a reply. A friend who sat near him whispered something into his ear. Doctor to Girish, you too have not seen anything but a reflection. Girish, I see it. I see the light. I shall prove that Krishna is an incarnation of God, or I shall cut up my tongue. Master, all this is useless talk. It's like the ravings of a delirious patient. A delirious patient says, I shall drink a whole tank of water. I shall eat a whole pot of rice. And the physician says, yes, you will have all of these. We shall give you whatever you want when you are convalescent. When the butter is heated, it sizzles and crackles, but all sound comes to a stop when it is thoroughly boiled. As a man's mind is, so is his conception of God. I've seen in rich men's houses portraits of the queen and other aristocrats, but the devotees keep in their houses pictures of gods and goddesses. Lakshmana said, "O Rama, even a sage like Vasishtadeva was overcome with grief on account of the death of his sons." "Brother," replied Rama, "whoever has knowledge has ignorance also. Whoever is conscious of light is also conscious of darkness. Therefore go beyond knowledge and ignorance." One attains that state through an intimate knowledge of God. This knowledge is called vijnana. When a thorn enters the sole of your foot, you've got to get another thorn. Then you remove the first thorn with the help of a second. Afterwards, you throw both away. Likewise, after removing the thorn of ignorance with the thorn of knowledge, you should throw away the thorns of both knowledge and ignorance. There are signs of perfect knowledge. One is that reasoning comes to an end. As I've just said, the butter sizzles and crackles as long as it's not thoroughly boiled. Doctor, but can one retain perfect knowledge permanently? You say that all is God. Then why have you taken up the profession of being a Paramahamsa? And why do these people attend on you? Why don't you keep silent? Master, smiling. Water is water, whether it is still or moves or breaks into waves. I must tell you something else. Why should I not listen to the Mahut Narayana? The Guru had taught his disciple that everything was Narayana, that is, everything is God. A mad elephant was coming toward the disciple, but he did not move away since he believed the Guru's words. He thought that the elephant was Narayana. The Mahout shouted to him, "Get away, get away!" But the disciple did not move. The elephant picked him up and threw him to the ground. The disciple was not quite dead. When his face was sprinkled with water, he regained consciousness. Being asked why he did not move away, he said, "Why should I? The Guru said everything is Narayana." "But my child," said the Guru, "why didn't you listen to the words of the Mahut Narayana?" It is God who dwells within as the pure mind and pure intelligence. I am the machine, and he is the operator. I am the house, and he is the indweller. It is God who is the Mahut Narayana. Doctor, let me ask you something. Why do you ask me to cure your illness? Master, I talk that way as long as I am conscious of the jar of the ego. Think of a vast ocean with water on all sides. A jar is immersed in it. There's water both inside and outside the jar. But the water does not become one unless the jar is broken. It is God who has kept this jar of the ego in me. Doctor, what is the meaning of ego and all that you're talking about? You must explain it to me. Do you mean to say that God is playing tricks on us? Girish, sir. How do you know that he is not playing tricks? Master, smiling. It is God who has kept this ego in us. All this is his play, his Leela. A king has 4 sons. They are all princes, but when they play, one becomes a minister, another a police officer, and so on. Though a prince, he plays as a police officer. To the doctor, listen, if you realize Atman, you will see the truth of all that I have said. All doubts disappear after the vision of God. Doctor, but is it ever possible to get rid of all doubts? Master, learn from me as much as I've told you. But if you want to know more, you must pray to God in solitude. Ask him why he is so ordained. The son of a house can give a beggar only a small amount of rice, but if a beggar asks for his train fare, then the master of the house must be called. The devotee remained silent. The doctor remained silent. Master, well, you love reasoning. All right. Let us reason a little. Listen. According to the Jnani, there is no incarnation of God. Krishna said to Arjuna, you speak of me as an incarnation of God. Let me show you something. Come with me. Arjuna had followed Sri Krishna a short distance when Krishna asked him, what do you see there? Arjuna replied, a big tree with black berries hanging in bunches. Krishna said, those are not black berries. Go nearer and look at them. Krishna went nearer and saw that there were Krishnas hanging in bunches. Do you see now how many Krishnas like me have grown there? Kabir Das said of Krishna, he danced like a monkey to the clapping of the gopis. As you go nearer to God, you see less and less of his upadhis, his attributes. A devotee at first may see the deity as 10-armed Divine Mother. When he goes nearer, he sees her possessed of 6 arms. Still nearer, he sees the deity as the 2-armed Gopala. The nearer he comes to the deity, the fewer attributes he sees. At last, when he comes into the presence of the deity, he sees only light without any attributes. Listen a little to the Vedantic reasoning. A magician came to the king to show his magic. When the magician moved away a little, the king saw a rider on horseback approaching him. He was brilliantly arrayed and had various weapons in his hands. The king and the audience began to reason out what was real in the phenomenon before them. Evidently, the horse was not real, nor the robes, nor the armor. At last, they found out beyond the shadow of a doubt that the rider alone was there. The significance of this is that Brahman alone is real and the world unreal. Nothing whatsoever remains if you analyze. Doctor, I don't object to this. Master, but it is not easy to get rid of illusion. It lingers even after the attainment of knowledge. A man dreamt of a tiger, then he woke up and his dream vanished, but his heart continued to palpitate. Some thieves came into a field. A straw figure resembling a man had been put there to frighten the intruders. The thieves were scared by the figure and could not persuade themselves to enter the field. One of them, however, approached and found that it was only a figure made of straw. He came back to his companions and said, "There's nothing to be afraid of," but still they refused to go. They said that their hearts were beating fast. Then the daring thief laid the figure to the ground and said, "It is nothing, it is nothing." This is the process of neti, not this, not this. Doctor, these are fine words. Master, smiling. What kind of words? Master, fine. Then Master, then give me a thank you. And the master said these words, thank you, in English. Doctor, don't you know what is in my mind? I go to so much trouble to come and visit you. Master, smiling. No, it is not that. Say something for the good of the ignorant. After the death of Ravana, his brother Vibhishana refused to be king of Ceylon. He said, "O Rama, I have obtained you. What shall I do with kingship?" Rama said, "Vibhishana, be king for the sake of the ignorant, for those who might ask what riches you've gained by serving me so much. Be a king and give them a lesson." Doctor, are there such ignorant people here? Master, smiling. Oh, yes. You'll find oysters and snails as well as conches. All laugh. Dr. Sarkar, who was a homeopath, gave Sri Ramakrishna 2 globules of medicine. He said, "I'm giving you these 2 globules. One is Purusha and the other is Prakriti," and all laugh. Master, smiling. Oh, yes. Purusha and Prakriti are always together. Haven't you observed pigeons? The male and the female cannot live separately. Wherever Purusha is, there is Prakriti, and wherever Prakriti is, there is Purusha. It was Vijaya Day. Sri Ramakrishna asked Dr. Sarkar to have some refreshments. The devotee served him sweets. And I think I'm going to start a new page. So before anything, I'll ask anyone have any questions, any interests or arguments, suggestions? Okay, then let me keep going. The doctor, while eating. Now I say thank you for the sweets, but it is not for your teachings. Why should I give a thank you in words? Master, smiling. The essential thing is to fix the mind on God and to practice meditation a little. What more can I say? Pointing to the younger Nard. Look at him. His mind totally merges in God. Those things I was telling you. Doctor, tell the others also. Master, no. A man should be given food according to his power of digestion. Can all understand what I told you? I cannot talk to everyone as I talk to you. Suppose a mother has bought a fish for the family. All her children have not the same power of digestion. For some she makes pilau, and for others she makes stew. All these latter have these weak stomachs. All laugh. Dr. Sarkar took his leave. It was Vijaya Day, when people show their love and respect to their friends and elders with appropriate greetings. The devotees all prostrated themselves before Sri Ramakrishna and took the dust of his feet. Then they all embraced one another. That's a specific kind of embrace that's done only on Vijaya Day, and it's called a kolakuli. 1, 2, and I think third time I'm back, but it's a very specific way of basically embracing, hugging one another. Their joy knew no bounds. The master was seriously ill, but he made them forget all about his illness. The embracing and exchange of greetings continued a long time. The devotees also took light refreshments. The younger Naran, M, and a few other devotees sat near Sri Ramakrishna. The master talked to them joyfully. He spoke of Dr. Sarkar. Master, I shall not have to tell him very much. When the trunk of a tree is almost cut to the other side, the cutter steps aside. A little later, the tree falls down of itself. The younger Naran, smiling. Here, everything is principle. Master, to M. The doctor has already changed a great deal, hasn't he? M. Yes, sir. When he comes here, he loses his wits. He never talks about medicine. When we remind him of it, he says, oh, yes, I shall have to give the medicine. Some of the devotees were singing in the parlor. They returned to the master's room. Sri Ramakrishna said, I heard your music, but why did you make mistakes in the rhythm? I once heard of a man who was adept in discord. You sang like him. All laugh. A younger man, a relatively younger Naran, arrived. He was bespectacled and foppishly dressed. Sri Ramakrishna spoke to the younger Naran. Master, you see, a young man was going along the road. He put on a pleated shirt. Oh, and how he strutted. Now and again he would display his shirt by removing a scarf and then look around to see if anyone was admiring him. But when he walked, you could see that he was knock-kneed. All laugh. A peacock, displays its feathers, but its feet are very dirty. All laugh. The camel is very ugly. Everything about it is ugly. Young man. But it acts well. Yes, master, yes, but it browses on briars. It will continue to eat thorns, though its mouth bleeds. A worldly man loses his children and still clamors for more. And that is the end of the day. So any questions or suggestions or anything else? Well, then, couple of announcements. Beginning June 1st, we will be open for Vespers only. We'll be open for Vespers, and no, actually we'll be open for the class followed by Vespers. So you can all attend this if you're local. Sorry, Sarah. Sorry, Sanatani, and sorry, yes. Yeah. So if you're local, then you can be here and join us at 5 o'clock for the reading. And we'll have lectures here starting on the 4th. And Swami Mahayogananda on Sunday will speak on re-imaging our identity. Oh, that's Sunday, June the 6th. Our Eternal Companion reading will be now at 5 o'clock, so it'll be consistent. Wednesday at 5 o'clock, Saturday 5 o'clock, and those classes will be open to the public. Again, masks, sanitation as usual, and our lectures as well. Okay, so then let us conclude with a chant. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna